Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/slash Tales from Tech Support. In today's episode, sorry for fixing their problems. Millimeters matters. 10 feet is too far to walk. Think you need to label these cables. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Sorry for fixing their problems. This is a story about a time I literally saved a hospital's network and got in trouble for doing it. I will do my absolute best not to embellish facts, but bear in mind this was a bit ago and exact dialogue has been lost to my not so great memory. Also, I'm terrible at formatting on Reddit, sorry if this looks terrible. Also, sorry for the length, this is going to be a long story. Backstory. Late 2019, I started my networking career in my first big boy networking job as a L2 network engineer. I worked for a medium-sized tech company in a different department prior to this new position, but after expressing my interest and lots of personal training, I managed to land a job in their tiny networking department. I was ecstatic. Networking was exactly what I wanted to do, and this was my foot in the door. The pay was absolutely abysmal and management was overbearing, but it'll look great on the resume. At this point, I was nearing a decade at this company and had received numerous awards for multiple different things. I was well known and well liked. Getting the job was a piece of cake once I was ready. One thing worth mentioning is that this tech company had offices all over the continent, one of which was in my city. This wasn't the headquarters, mind you, but just a satellite office for service desk. I worked from home for many years without issue, but after a while I started to get cabin fever and asked if I could, at my own discretion, pop into the office occasionally to get out of the house. This was approved and I set up a desk at the office for whenever I felt like stretching my feet. Then I got this networking position. There were no networking coworkers in my office, just little old me. My boss was in another city far away. You might be thinking, Katha, that must mean you can continue your WFH arrangement, right? You're not missing anything at the office. Nope, my direct boss had to drive an hour to his office because he was part of management, and if he had to suffer, so did I. I had to drive to the office, just because. Although this didn't sit well with me, it was what it was. This just shows what kind of mindset management had. Fast forward to mid-2020, COVID is in full swing and hospitals are starting to struggle. A couple of months prior, we had signed up a tiny hospital in a rural town about an hour away. One of the services we offered was network monitoring and remediation, and because I was the only network engineer within 500 miles, it was my responsibility to do stuff. They were extremely vague about what I would be asked to do, and what we could dispatch a field tech to do, whatever gave them more control over me. Story. Cast, $me, $SC, site contact, $B, boss, $BB, boss's boss. 3 p.m. I was starting to relax as the day was just about over, thoughts dancing in my head about what I'm going to do after work, spoiler alert, nap. Then we received a P1 alert. The domain controller at the hospital went offline. More P1s started rolling in, core switch stack went offline, and took everything else with it. We received dozens of P1s for every device, and immediately a P1 bridge was spun up. Recognizing this was more than likely a network failure and representing the network department, I jump on the bridge. $B and I jump on and we start our inspection to determine the scope of the outage. Nothing on the inside of the firewall is responding, period. Looking over our documentation and diagrams, it's evident the core switch had some sort of failure, but we weren't sure how bad this was. We got $SC on the line and verified the server room had power and the devices were powered. Everything checked out, and it was decided I needed to go on site. I pack up my tools, jump in the truck and drive the hour out there. By this point it's 4 p.m. 5 p.m. I roll into the parking lot and walk inside. I make my way to the server room and meet with $SC. I do a quick inspection of the equipment and everything is lit, but one thing I noticed immediately is every single port that was enabled is flashing concurrently and consistently. Red flag. I set up my laptop and call into the bridge and let them know I'm on site. Let the troubleshooting begin. While $B and $BB are talking about potential issues and trying their best to think of troubleshooting steps, I'm already working. First thing I check is the firewall downlink, checked out. I plug the switch back into the firewall and patch my laptop directly into the switch. When I pinged the switch management IP, it was dropping half the pings and the time was all over the place, a couple of ms up to several seconds each. This didn't make sense, and mentioned my findings to the people on the bridge. My boss goes quiet for a couple of seconds. $B, are you working off to the side? $Me, yes. They need to get working, right? Shouldn't I be troubleshooting? Isn't that why I'm here? $B, no, you're there as an extension of us. We need you to follow our exact instructions. Do not do anything on your own without us knowing about it first. I should mention that my cell phone was on speaker, so I could use both of my hands to type commands. $SC, the technical director for the hospital, was sitting next to me helping me troubleshoot. He wanted this thing fixed and fixed now. He was a very patient and nice person, but there was a lot of pressure to get this working, and he was happy up until this point with what I was doing. When he heard my boss say that, he lost his sh*t. I put my phone on mute. $SC, did they just say they don't want you to do anything? $Me, sorry you had to hear that. I have no idea what the issue is, but I'm very confused why they don't want me troubleshooting this. $SC, that is completely unacceptable. How the hell are you supposed to help get this working if you aren't allowed to do anything? Why are you even here then? $Me, your guess is as good as mine. $SC, I don't care what they say. Let's keep going, f*ck them. Eventually they started giving me troubleshooting commands, notably, commands I already ran, and with the info I provided back they determined the first switch in the core was faulty and needed to be replaced. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that this switch stack wasn't actually stacked, it was daisy chain switch 1-2, 2-3. $B to $SC, unfortunately it looks like the first switch is malfunctioning and not passing traffic properly. It will need to be replaced. We'll go ahead and check on the warranty info and see if we can get one overnight. At this point this did not jive with what I was witnessing, but I had a hunch of what it could be. I hadn't witnessed one of these in the wild yet, but it might be. $Me to the people on the bridge, hey guys, I need to put you on hold for a second. I muted my mic and talked directly to $SC. Me, look, I've got a sneaking suspicion that the switch is fine, but there could be something else going on called a broadcast storm. There is a really easy way to determine whether this is true or not, and what's the worst thing that could happen? We take down your network? We both got a good laugh out of that. $SC, yes, let's do it. What do we have to lose? What do we do? $Me, start unplugging patch cables until we start getting replies back to my pings. If they stabilize then it's a broadcast storm, if they don't then this switch is probably faulty. I start the persistent ping, and we start unplugging cables while I keep an eye on the ping. We get to the very last cable and up until this point we had no luck, but once we unplugged the SFP module the switch magically stabilized. $Me, with a smirk on my face, looks like we found the cause of the issue. Your switch is fine, but we have to find where the loop is. Where does this fiber module go? $SC, that goes to an outbuilding with offices. I've got keys, we can go over there. Can we isolate it and get the hospital back online? $Me, yes, let's plug these cables back in and everything should be okay very quickly once the APs power back up. By this point I've been on hold for maybe 2 minutes. I unmute my mic. $Me, hey guys, we found the cause of the issue. The switch is fine, this is a broadcast storm. $BB, a broadcast storm? What the hell is that? Is that even a thing? That doesn't sound real. $B, yes, it's a real thing, and it's not good. Katha, why do you think that? I explained my troubleshooting steps. $B, okay, yeah, that sounds like a broadcast storm to me. Go to the offices with $SC and see if we can locate the loop. Stay on the line with us so we can guide you. $Me, yeah, okay, I roll. We verify everything in the hospital has started coming back up, and off to the other building we go. We go through several IDFs until we isolated the loop to a single section of offices that the SC didn't have a key to. $SC disconnect them. If they F asterisk get up, they can deal with no internet until I can get in there and find out where this loop is. We disconnected the offices and hooked up the outbuilding back to the network and verified everything was good. At this point it's midnight. We verify everything is good and I leave. Got home at 2 a.m. Back up at 8 a.m. to get back to work, with the expectation of at least a high five. $BB and $B Katha, we need to have a word about your actions last night. $Me, sure, what's up? $B, you didn't include us in any of your troubleshooting, we were effectively in the dark. We told you earlier that we didn't want you doing anything without us telling you. You went rogue. $Me, I went rogue? I saved them several $1,000s instead of replacing a switch that was perfectly good. We got their network up in a fraction of the time it would have had I followed your directions. What exactly did I do wrong there? $BB, none of that matters, you are too inexperienced to be making these decisions and taking troubleshooting in your own hands. You made me and $B look very unprofessional. You need to learn to follow directions. Me, defeated, okay. Sorry for fixing their problems. Unfortunately for them, $SC was extremely happy with my performance and extremely pissed at my bosses. His email said as much to the account executive and bosses. He called me up personally and thanked me for my hard work that night and gave an update on what he found. The next morning he heard complaints of no internet in those offices. He went over and found an idiot had plugged a patch cable from one wall port into another, no idea why. He lit that employee up about the $2,000 bill he was about to receive. He was pissed when I offhand mentioned that I was reprimanded for fixing their issues. Millimeters matters. So, I'm a software developer working mainly with POS and CRM solutions. Our software prints label for products, mailing addresses, invoice control, etc. Everyone that has worked with label printers know that they are ticklish to configure. We have a customer that needs to print labels to go along sales orders. We ask for the dimensions of the label. The customer said, 110 millimeters width, 70 millimeters height. We ask, the height is from top to bottom of the label. Yes, comes the reply. Well, we know that the printer she uses only accepts until 108 millimeters labels, so we configure the width, design the label, print, and the printer writes one label, jumps one, printer another, jumps one. We ask, are you sure that the height of the label is 70 millimeters? Yes, she replies, I measured it myself. We look at the configuration of the printer, look at the design, everything okay. Try to print again, same result. Are you sure of the height? We ask again. Yes, comes the reply. Send a photo of the label with a ruler over, please. She send the photo. The label is 65 millimeters tall, with 3 millimeters gap to the next label. She was measuring from the top of one label to the top of the other, but the printer needs to find the gap between labels, so when it finished printing the label, it go looking for the next gap, that were on label ahead. Note, sorry for spelling or grammatical errors. English is not my first language. 10 feet is too far to walk. I am a member of a small team that is the final line of technical support for my company's dealers. We also conduct all the training for dealerships around the country. We are generally supposed to be used as a last resort. One of our biggest goals is to increase dealer independence by teaching them to use their resources and knowledge to arrive at a solution themselves. We have devoted a lot of time and effort towards this. However, some people just treat us as the easy button to make all problems disappear. This happens with varying degrees of shamelessness. Today a tech called in with a quick question. It's always just a quick question. Even the 2-hour calls were just quick questions. A customer wanted to set a controller from mode 2 back to mode 1. The answer is 3 button presses. I've been to their shop in person. I know they have several manuals for this controller scattered all over the place. The answer is in the first few pages. I also know they have this exact controller mounted on a wall of their shop to act as a sales demo. He could have walked across the room, hit the menu key, and had his answer. But that isn't convenient enough. It was a tragedy deserving of opera. The controller was 10 feet away, and the manual was probably sitting next to it. Oh, the humanity. It's like a starving man being chained just millimeters away from a bountiful banquet. That trove of knowledge forever out of reach. Praise be to the Omniscia. May we never diminish in the gaze of his photoreceptors. For he had a phone in his pocket with our department number on speed dial. I am mildly annoyed at this type of call. Think you need to label these cables. Not a bad call, to be fair, just someone who needed a little bit of help. I work in the technical call center for broadband/TV/phone provider, so I get customers calling in where I help them resolve their issue, be it troubleshooting, updating them on an order, or getting them an engineer, or their situation raised if it's beyond what I can help them with. Got a call from a lady who was a bit confused. Her internet was going live that day, and was told it would be on by now, but she had no connection. A bit odd, but sometimes we advise them to wait until midnight to see if it comes on. But just to be sure the job had been completed, I checked out database, and what do you know, it is completed. After I agreed with her it should be on by now, she then commented, I am using my old wires for the new router. It did come with new wires, but I wasn't sure what to do with them. Think I found the problem. I asked her to describe the wires, helped guide her into plugging the right ones in the right sockets, and then her router finally kicked in. Even ran a couple of tests to make sure the speeds looked good, and there were no other faults, and sent her some links in case she ever had any trouble and needed some extra help. She had a laugh about it and commented, I think you need to label these cables for people like me. Let her know that it was nothing to worry about. Sometimes you'll get tech, and it comes with so many things you don't know what's what. I've been there. We even ended up having a good conversation about her plans to just settle in front of the telly all weekend to binge while I ran those extra tests. All in all, she was cheerful and bright throughout the call. Couldn't have asked for a better customer.